under fading skies. Tattered flags waving dreams in our eyes. The crowds roar like a storm on the wind. We're the underdogs fighting again.
What's going on, guys, and welcome back. It is Stateside Footy. It's your boy Steve Unk. That's right, man. I'm old enough to be an Unk now. I'm on Unk status. All these TikTokers, all these assholes on TikTok. Speaking of which, what's going on, TikTok? Hope you're doing well. TikTok Live. What's going on? X. Hope you're doing well. All right, guys, it is another edition of USMNT Yanks Abroad as we recap the weekend that was for our USMNT pool players in Europe. That includes Christian Pulisic, although it's not really much of an update because he really didn't do shit. And so that not really doing shit streak kind of continued. And of course, his coach came out and essentially just called him soft. That was awesome. That was awesome. That's exactly what we needed from our most important player heading into a World Cup on home soil. Yeah, that's exactly what we needed. Well, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button and also hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any upcoming stateside footy content. All right, so interesting stuff, man. Before we get into the rundown, I do want to talk a little bit about Vancouver. Because the Whitecaps dropped an announcement today, essentially telling anybody, who wants to buy the team to step forward. Anybody that wants to keep the team in Vancouver, step forward. I know, plot twist. Nobody stepped forward. And it almost, it almost is certain that this team will end up in Las Vegas. And it's like, God damn, Las Vegas, like how many teams do you absolutely need? It's not the point. It's not the point that they don't, Vegas doesn't support the lights. It's not even about that. The reason why Major League Soccer wants the team in Las Vegas. Now, granted, if they could make it work in Vancouver, they would. The property values in Vancouver are absolutely sky high, right? And so to get a building done in Vancouver would exponentially, make that franchise value that much more higher. But the reality is Vancouver's chasing a Major League Baseball team. That's their priority, not a Major League Soccer team. And it's well known within Major League Soccer circles that it's not that Vancouver doesn't want the Whitecaps. It's just they want Major League Baseball more at the moment. And so they're willing to bend the knee to Major League Baseball. And that includes building them up, putting a stadium in Vancouver if need be. And so, Vancouver's waiting, not Vancouver, Las Vegas is waiting with open arms because the end result is getting a building put up. And it doesn't necessarily matter that Las Vegas is or isn't going to support them. The reality is the real estate behind it in Las Vegas makes it worth Major League Soccer's while, because really, when you look at their portfolio, when you look at Major League Baseball to Major League Soccer's real estate holdings around the country, it's somewhere north of $25 billion worth of real estate holdings, because all the ground that those stadiums sit on, yeah, it's worth quite a bit of money. And so Major League Soccer is essentially looking at it like Vegas is, okay, it works for us because they're probably going to get a cheap deal on land, and that land is going to be worth millions of dollars. And yeah, when you look at their real estate holdings, it makes perfect sense why they want to do it. On top of the fact that there's not going to be any issue with currency. Currency kind of plays a role in this as well too, because Canadian teams have to pay their players in US dollars. Meanwhile, match day revenue, sponsorship revenue, all of that, TV revenue, radio revenue, whatever the case may be, all of that comes in at Canadian. And of course, with the currency exchange rate between the Canadian dollar and the American dollar, yeah, it's not really a good business. It's not really a good business proposition for the owners that are in charge. And so they're looking to cash out. That's why they want a billionaire to step up, because they're looking to cash out. It also doesn't help that the city and provincial governments are trying to get Major League Baseball. It seems kind of hypocritical on the part of Vancouver. But I mean, at the end of the day, what do you expect, man? What do you expect? It's Major League Baseball, and it's not really that Vancouver hates soccer. As a matter of fact, Vancouver is a very good soccer city. It's an incredible soccer city, and it's got a heritage. The Whitecaps have heritage in Vancouver. That's not at all what is at stake here. It's the reality of the fact that the political winds that are blowing in Vancouver look at Major League Baseball as a sure bet. And when you look at the corporate community in Vancouver, they're lining up to do business with Major League Baseball. Lining up to do business with Major League Baseball, where, when it comes to, Major League Soccer, it is what it is. It is what it is. And so from that standpoint, what's the better bet, right? The league that doesn't necessarily have that high of a revenue stream versus a league that has a gargantuan fucking revenue stream. Yeah, you can understand why civic leaders and the business community in Vancouver is looking at it like, okay, yeah, it makes sense to me. Meanwhile, Vegas, they're collecting sports teams like it's going out of style. Vegas is a growing city, obviously, but the reality is, Major League Soccer is looking at this as an opportunity to get a good deal on land to build a stadium, and they're going to get it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that it's a transient city. It doesn't matter if there's 8,000 in the building. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because really at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is that the valuation of that franchise going up. And by having that team move to Las Vegas, that franchise valuation will go through the fucking goddamn roof. And it sucks too. It sucks. Everybody compares this thing to Columbus, and it's like, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit different than Columbus. In the fact that obviously one's a Canadian team, one's a US-based team. And the other thing is that the political climate in Columbus was actually, in favor of keeping the crew in town. It was advantageous to keep the crew in town. Politically, it was the right move to keep the crew in town. In Vancouver, it's just, it's a Canucks town, man. It's a Canucks town. They had the Grizzlies at one time, the NBA's Grizzlies, before they moved to Memphis. But that ownership group wasn't committed to keeping that team long term in Vancouver. And once the first hint of danger, and of course that was that currency issue back in the day, or at least that's what they were saying that it was. The first opportunity, and by the way, it turns out that ownership group, 2 of the 3 of that ownership group were from Memphis, by the way. So yeah. But the reality is, it's not that soccer doesn't work in Vancouver. It's just, it's advantageous of the league to be in Las Vegas, not in Vancouver. And by the way, the corporate community in in Las Vegas would actually be a lot kinder. On top of the fact that the Whitecaps would be able to sell naming rights and do their own sponsorship deals out of their own stadium, reap 100% of the benefits of doing so, instead of the current climate, which is playing at BC Place, which is actually owned by the city of Vancouver. And oh, by the way, they don't. They don't get a large portion of any of the sponsorship revenue that has anything to do with that building. I hate to use the term feasible, because I don't necessarily think it's not a feasible issue in Vancouver, because it very well could be a feasible issue if the right wheels get greased. But the other thing about this, and of course Tony Martinez here in the chat points it out, that the taxes are fucking astronomical in BC. That's on top of the property value and the taxes that you're going to have to pay on that property. But also, and this is widely available on Google if you really want to Google this, check out how much the city of Vancouver and the province of BC charges businesses, corporations and businesses. It's insane. It's insanely high. So in order to weather the storm, you had to have been entrenched there. The Canucks can weather the storm because they've been there since the 70s. The BC Lions have been there forever as well, too. Versus going to a town that is very business friendly in Las Vegas. It's incredibly business friendly in Las Vegas. That's why that's why the UFC is there. That's why, obviously that's the gambling capital of the world, because the state of Nevada obviously is very business friendly. So it makes a lot of sense why that team would end up in Las Vegas. Not only would they get their own building, but they're going to be able to actually make money. Far more than they would in Vancouver. It sucks. We're losing a Cascadia rival. It sucks, but all signs point to Las Vegas. And the interesting thing about this is, and oh, by the way, like if there is an 11th hour buyer that is committed to keeping the Whitecaps in Vancouver, there's not going to be a hometown discount. As a matter of fact, the league sets the price. Even if the owners wanted to shortchange the deal, right? For instance, let's just say that the current owners wanted to shortchange it just to get it off their hands, right? If they wanted to, for instance, let's just say they wanted to sell it for $500 million. They don't have the luxury of doing it. They know. Price is set by the league, set by the other 30 owners in the league. So whoever has to buy it not only has to buy the team, but then has to go through that political nightmare in Vancouver just to see if it can actually be, put on a path for a successful next 10 years. Quite honestly, it doesn't look like it's going to be a good bet for anybody that's looking to invest. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly how this thing is going to come down. I'm actually going to be doing a little bit longer of a show on Vancouver because it is an interesting situation. I'm going to see if I can get Fabian Rankel onto the show and we can actually go on this a little bit more in depth. But the reality is, like, dollars and cents wise, the league would rather have Las Vegas than Vancouver. And it's sad too, because Vancouver has been very good in the last 3 years, and they've been, their attendance has gone up, and that team still isn't really making money. That's even with an MLS Cup final appearance as well too. It's sad. Star Wars Satan 5588. Gio got 12 minutes. He's coming to the World Cup. Woo! Gio got 12 minutes. Holy shit! Call the cavalry. Holy shit. Gio's cooking. 12 minutes. Yeah. All right, let's get into it. So this rundown this week, I gotta prepare you guys. This week's rundown, it's not really all that sexy. It's really not. Outside of Ricardo Pepi's brace last week. I think that was on Wednesday, prior to the weekend. It's really not all that sexy. I'll be the first one to admit it. All right, let's get into it. Flo Balogun, I guess his goal streak kind of came to an end a little bit in a 2-2 draw with Toulouse. Balogun did play 84 minutes. He did create 2 chances, so that's something. 16 touches, 2 in the opposition box. 2 in the opposition box in 84 minutes. Great googly moogly. 9 of 11 of accurate passes, 3 of 4 grand duels, and that's pretty much all he did in this one. That's good for a 6.5 rating. I was close to giving him a 6, but because he's been on a heater, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He can have a 6.5. Reality is, it was an average performance for Flo, and that's a very unflow-like performance considering the heater that he's been on. And make no mistake, this dude has been absolutely lighting the French Ligue on fire. But it is what it is. These things tend to happen. You're not going to score in every single game, although Flo kind of put that to the test, though, because it seemed like he was pretty much scoring in every single goddamn game. But reality is, these things tend to happen. But the interesting thing, though, is let me pull this one up real quick. Just so, let's see, just so I know, I think we're coming to the end of the Ligue 1 calendar as well, too. We are. As soon as I have that up, I'll let you know exactly how many games are left in the Ligue 1 calendar. I think we have coming up on May the 17th. So, yeah, coming up in a few more weeks. So Flo's got a few more games left in that in his calendar. We'll see how that turns out. It looks like it's a pretty favorable draw for Monaco, but the reality is it's you'd like to see him kind of close it out on a high note, but we'll see how that plays out. Ricardo Pepi, by the way, he was absolutely phenomenal in a 6-1 victory over PEZ's Wool in the Dutch Eredivisie. He did go 81, scored 2 goals in this one on 30 touches. 7 of those came to the opposition box. 17 of 18 of accurate passes. He also had an interception and 3 recoveries. 2 of 4 ground duels, 1 of 1 of aerial duels, and that was good for an 8 rating. And Ricardo bounces back after a little bit of a slow. I wouldn't say it was a slump. That's not right. I would say it's just like a little bit of a slow period. But against a team like PEZ or NEC Nijmegen, or the Go Ahead Eagles, you expect a dude like Ricardo Pepi to take full advantage. He certainly did. It's going to be interesting to see exactly how this season closes out. May before the World Cup. It's just Tony Martinez. May before the World Cup is all about staying healthy. You're 100% right. You're 100% right. Haji Wright in Coventry's 3-1 victory over Wrexham, and I was a little disappointed in Wrexham. Not that I was rooting against Coventry. All right, I was rooting against Coventry. I kind of want to see Wrexham get into the playoffs, but anyway. Haji Wright went 71 minutes, had 24 touches, 7 in the opposition box, 6 of 11 of accurate passes, 1 of 2 successful dribbles, and it looks like he was 1 of 1 of accurate long balls. Not exactly the Haji Wright performance, but that being said, last week he did score, but that was his first goal like in 7 weeks. So it had been a minute for Haji Wright. Was I expecting back-to-back goal performances? No, because Wrexham is actually not a bad defense in the championship. I certainly was expecting a little bit more than a 6.5 rating, but here we are. That's exactly what it was. But then again, they've already clinched promotion. But for a guy like Haji Wright, now that that's over, now that there is no mystery of where they're going to be next year, you kind of want him to kind of kick it into an extra gear because you kind of want him peaking heading into the World Cup, right? That's kind of what you want for all three. You look at Monaco, and they are a couple points off a European spot. If they win next week and Marseille happens to drop it, they'll go into a European spot. So there's still something left for them to play for. And with Ricardo already winning the Eredivisie with PSV, all three of these guys should be using the remainder of their seasons to peak and get themselves in a position so when they touch down in the United States for that camp, they're ready to go. That's kind of the hope with the strikers. That's kind of the hope with everybody, if I'm really being honest. What's up, Nateski? Hope you're doing well, man. RAFC, TID, Rhode Island FC. I love it, man. USL Championship coming strong. All right, let's turn to Christian Pulisic. And, of course, him and Weston McKennie had themselves a little bit of a derby over this weekend. Juve versus AC Milan. Of course, that was a 0-0 draw. Pooley played 62 minutes, only had 22 touches, 1 in the opposition box. 14 of 16 of accurate passes, 1 of 2 of successful dribbles, and that was good for a 6 rating. And as I mentioned, as I mentioned, that his coach, Massimiliano Allegri, on Pulisic's struggles. This is kind of brutal, man. He says he is a very sensitive guy. The fact that he doesn't score affects him more. He's a player who gets into tackles and struggles more. He suffers more from this. I have to try to give the team balance. Playing without a true center forward, he struggles more. I'll tell you what, man, Allegri's given no fucks on this one. That is not exactly the ringing endorsement you want from your head coach, especially of a guy like Christian Pulisic, who is our most important player ahead of a World Cup that's on home soil. The last thing that you want is for his club coach essentially calling him soft. And that's what I get out of this, right? Like, he's soft. He's sensitive. Now, one would take it, it's like, like if he doesn't score, that he puts it on his shoulders, like he carries it. So from that standpoint, yes, that could be a sign of sensitivity, right? Because you're angry. Emotions are a form of sensitivity, but that's not what I got out of that. Allegri's throwing fire. I don't know, man. Like I've been consistent all along with Christian. Like it doesn't bug me. It doesn't bug me that he hasn't scored in forever and a day. It doesn't. Although there's always a but. You'd like to see a goal or two before the end of the season just to get that monkey off his back. Just, I hate using this word because I think douchebags use it a little too much, but just to get the vibes back, a goal or two would be nice. I'm just saying. And I know Christian's a fan of the show. Christian watches it. At least I tell myself Christian watches it. It's going to be all right, bud. It's going to be all right. On the other hand, Weston McKennie, his head coach, is certainly not saying anything about him that crazy. Wes, by the way, on the Juve side, played a full 90. He had 49 touches, 2 in the opposition box, 29 of 34 of accurate passes, 4 go into the final third, 1 of 1 of successful dribbles. He had 5 defensive contributions, 2 tackles, 3 of 5 of ground duels, 2 of 2 of aerial duels, and that was good for a 7.5 rating. So Wes got the better of the two in that one. And of course, Wes has essentially been playing well for 3 months now. And I would probably expect Wes to continue that high pace of football between now and the rest of the season, heading into the USMNT camp, heading into the World Cup. So I have no concerns over Weston McKennie whatsoever. He seems like he's in a good headspace right now. Malik Tillman did play 29 minutes in a 2-1 victory over FC Köln. Not really a lot of positivity out of his 29 minutes, but he did get on the field. And Gio Reyna, as Star Wars Satan 5588 said, Gio got 12 minutes. And it looks like that was a 0-0 draw versus Wolfsburg. And by the way, congratulations, to Joe Scally. And it has to be said, he's 23 years old, and I think he just got his 150th appearance for Borussia Mönchengladbach. That's insane. But that's exactly what he did in that 0-0 draw over Wolfsburg. So congratulations to Joe Scally. That shit's unbelievable. But yeah, much earned. Brendan Aronson in a 1-0 in a 1-0 loss to Chelsea, played 86 minutes, had 42 touches, 3 in the opposition box, 14 of 17 of accurate passes, 2 into the final third, 1 of 2 successful dribbles, 7 defensive contributions. He had 6 tackles in this game. That's crazy. 8 of 12 of ground duels, and that was good for a 6.5 rating. Brendan Aronson doing Brendan Aronson things. This is consistency on Brendan Aronson's part. The only differential is like if he scores a goal or has an assist, but usually his stat line is usually on par with what he does on a week in and week out basis. It's actually pretty nice. Alexandrejas, Club America lost 1-0 to Atlas. He played 72 minutes, had 53 touches, 41 of 42 of accurate passes, 4 of those into the final third, 1 of 1 of accurate long balls, 3 defensive contributions. He had 2 tackles, 2 of 4 of ground duels, and that was good for a 6.5 rating, which is kind of odd because Alexandrejas has been on fire lately from Club America. So it's kind of odd not seeing him getting him a goal or assist. It's kind of odd. I'm used to him being essentially automatic. I guess Atlas has its number, I guess. Gianluca Busio, Venezia, beat Empoli 2-0, and Busio continues he's awesome. And it's a shame that he's not getting a look with the U.S. men's national team. But that being said, hopefully he gets a summer move. I would be for it, even if Venezia go up, and it looks like they might go up. It's looking more and more like they will. I'd still like to see him get a move to a better club. I think he's earned it. He went a full 90. He had 119 touches, 3 in the opposition box, 92 of 95 of accurate passing, 13 go into the final third, 7 of 10 of accurate long balls. He took 4 corners, had 4 defensive contributions, 2 tackles, 4 of 6 in ground duels, and that was good for an 8 rating. He was clearly the best player on the pitch in that match versus Empoli. And again, consistency. This is Gianluca Busio at his best. Again, the only thing that's missing is that goal or assist. But, for the most part, Gianluca has gotten to a point where he is clearly better than anyone. Like, he's clearly one of the best players in Serie B. But that being said, it's like, you think he's gotten to the point where he's too good for Venezia. And yeah, the timing seems right for him to get a move. And hopefully he gets it. All right. Let's talk about Tyler Adams, as the last time Bournemouth featured was a 2-2 draw against Leeds. He only played 17 minutes, but he did get an assist in this one. Had 16 touches, 9 of 12 of accurate passes, 1 of 1 of accurate crosses, 3 defensive contributions, 2 of 2 of ground duels, and that was good for a 7 rating. That's how you maximize 17 minutes of play. You get an assist, and you just do what you do what Tyler Adams does, and you just be a nuisance. Tanner Tessman played 56 minutes in the 3-2 win over Auxerre. He had 27 touches, 8 of 12 of accurate passes, 2 into the final third. He had 5 defensive contributions, 1 of 2 of ground duels, 1 of 1 of aerial duels, and that was good for a 6.5 rating. He's kind of trending a little downwards a little bit. Not too much, but it is what it is with Tess. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that Tess overall has been terrible. That would be disingenuous. But his high of 2 months ago, where he was at with his play, it's peaked a little. But that's not to say that he can't recover. Tess is actually an amazing midfielder. So we'll see how that plays out. Johnny Cardoso did get 32 minutes at Atletico Madrid's 3-2 win over Athletic Club. He had 33 touches, 13 of 14 of accurate passes, 1 of 2 of successful dribbles, 8 defensive contributions, 2 tackles, 3 interceptions, 5 of 8 of grand duels, and that was good for a 7 rating. And there's Johnny Cardoso doing Johnny Cardoso things in only 32 minutes of play. And of course, he played a full 93 days prior to that. And it was an okay performance, not great. But that being said, again, in this performance, he was actually not bad at all. Aidan Morse in a 5-1 victory over Watford, and Middlesbrough is absolutely just on fire right now. He played a full 90. He created 2 chances, 86 touches, 64 of 69 of accurate passes, 1 of 2 of grand duels, 3 of 3 of accurate long balls, 5 defensive contributions, 2 tackles, 2 interceptions, 7 recoveries, and that was good for a 7.5 rating. It's going to be awfully hard to leave Aidan Morris off the World Cup roster. It really is. When you think about the consistency in which Aidan Morris plays, it's going to be hard to leave him off, right? Because you want to bring dudes that are in form to the World Cup, and he certainly is in form. The question you have to ask is, like, we ask this question all the time about whether or not the championship is a level that needs to be at its highest to be in a World Cup. But that being said, we're carrying Major League Soccer players, so yes, I guess that's the question. That's the answer to that question. Yes, it is. Jedi only played 9 minutes in a 1-0 victory over Aston Villa for Fulham. Interesting. It's interesting that he only got 9 minutes. Just out of curiosity, I think the answer is yes, but I'm going to look anyway. Yeah, no, he had back-to-back 9-minute performances. So okay, that's interesting. You wonder if there might be a knock with Jedi, but regardless, he only played 9 minutes. Timmy Weah did play a full 90 in a 1-1 draw versus Nice. He had 3 chances created on 69 touches, 44 of 51 of accurate passes, 4 into the final third, 3 of 4 of accurate long balls, 2 defensive contributions, 2 tackles, 3 of 5 grand duels, and that was good for a 7.5 rating. And this is interesting because you know who got a full 90 over the weekend? That was Alex Freeman for Villarreal. They won 2-1 over Celta Vigo, and he had 79 touches, 50 of 52 of accurate passes, 2 of 2 of successful dribbles, 11 defensive contributions, 2 tackles, 6 clearances, 2 interceptions, 4 of 4 of grand duels, 1 of 1 of aerial duels, and that was good for an 8 rating. And so now, all of a sudden, here comes Alex Freeman, who really hadn't been featuring a lot for Villarreal. But he did get his first full 90, and the timing couldn't be impeccable. And of course, with Serginho Dest still recovering, now there's actually going to be a legit competition at that right wing back spot, and it's going to be interesting to see exactly who Pochettino kind of favors, because I'll say this. I'd rather see Weah a little bit higher up the pitch. That's just me. I think he's a little bit better used higher up the pitch. Just from an inside forward standpoint, I think his ability is a little bit better around goal. Alex Freeman, I think Alex Freeman can do a job. I really do. And I've been saying that for about a year now. I've been quite impressed with the evolution of a guy like Alex Freeman. And it was during last year's Nations League where I 100% got on board. I mean, I saw him in Camp Cupcake last year, and he was cool. But it's hard to really kind of get a read against Costa Rica, or what was it, Puerto Rico and Venezuela. Not national teams that really don't hold a lot of water. But against higher CONCACAF competition, he looked good and he progressed. He got his move. And now he's doing it, and he's doing it at a higher level. And I'll just say it. It's like, it's one thing to do it in Major League Soccer. It's another thing to do it in La Liga. And he's starting to earn his trust, his coach's trust. And would I be surprised if he played the rest of the season? Not at all. I think especially if Serginho Dest can't go for whatever reason, you do have that backup in Joe Scally if need be. Yes, you have Timmy Weah. No, man. I think Freeman can do a job, and I think he's calm under pressure as well too. I'm a believer in Alex Freeman. Tony Martinez says Jedi might get sold over the summer. Yeah, that's true. There's a couple teams that are in on Jedi, Liverpool and Manchester United being two teams that are in on them. Speaking of Joe Scally, he did play a full 90. He actually played pretty well in a 0-0 draw versus Wolfsburg. Scally looks like he was playing higher up the pitch in this one. They were in a 3-1-4-2, a little odd, and he was actually playing off the right wing. He did play a full 90. He had 65 touches, 3 in the opposition box, 34 of 41 of accurate passes, 4 of those into the final third, 1 of 3 of accurate crosses, 1 of 3 of accurate long balls. Only 2 defensive contributions. He did have 3 recoveries, 6 of 8 of ground duels, 1 of 2 of aerial duels, and that was good for a 7 rating. So congratulations to Joe Scally. That's a lot of appearances in a short time. I like Joe. Let's turn our attention to Chris Richards, and this was not really all that great of a performance in a 3-1 loss to Liverpool. Richards played a full 90, had 63 touches, 39 of 46 of accurate passes, 4 into the final third, which is actually kind of neat that he actually can swing passes into the final third. 4 of 9 of accurate long balls, only 6 defensive contributions, 5 clearances, 1 of 2 of ground duels, 3 of 12 of aerial duels, and that was only good for a 5 rating. Wasn't a strong performance for that Crystal Palace back line, Richards included. It's Liverpool. Even though Liverpool struggle, it's still Liverpool. Mark McKenzie did have a good performance in that 2-2 draw versus Monaco. He played a full 90. He did create 1 chance, had 73 touches, 48 of 53 of accurate passes, 4 into the final third, 1 of 1 of successful dribbles, 2 of 6 of accurate long balls, 8 defensive contributions, 3 tackles, 2 interceptions, 5 of 7 of ground duels, 3 of 3 of aerial duels, and that was good for a 7 rating. So Mark McKenzie recovering after a little bit of a down week last week. That's nice. And me personally, I think Mark McKenzie is probably one of our starters come that first game. If it is indeed we go with a back 3. At this stage, he is definitely one of my starters. Lastly, Austin Trusty. Celtic did beat Falkirk 3-1. Trusty played a full 90. He had 65 touches, 43 of 47 of accurate passes, 1 into the final third, 3 of 3 of accurate long balls, 16 defensive contributions, 15 clearances, 1 interception, 7 of 10 of aerial duels, and that was good for a 7.5 rating. And I've been consistent since the Portugal game that Austin Trusty is my starting left center back come World Cup. I'm sure there are going to be some fans who would agree with me on that. One of the things that we have seen consistently since the start of the Major League Soccer season is that Tim Ream is visibly a step slow. Visibly. And even against a team like Paraguay or Australia, you just can't have it. If you want to carry him for vibes, all right, sounds good. Because there's always going to be room for veteran leadership on a World Cup team. And he's certainly one of those guys, and I wouldn't have a problem with that as long as your center back group does have cover. A lot of this would be alleviated if Noah Kai Banks was on the roster, but Noah Kai hasn't featured for Augsburg since March 22nd. So there's that to consider as well too. But a lot of this would get alleviated if he was a part of the group, but he's not. It wouldn't surprise me if Miles Robinson made the World Cup roster. That wouldn't be surprising. And you did have a rotation at that fifth center back spot, whether that be Alex Freeman, Joe Scally, whatever the case may be. But the reality is Richards, McKenzie, Trusty should be your starting three center backs. And those should be your center backs throughout. It all depends on what happens in those first two, right? I mean, if it's like a situation where you get two draws and you got to go all out for Turkey, okay, whatever, you're going to be playing them anyways. But there is a scenario where the U.S. win their first two group games, then, maybe they can rotate against Turkey, whatever the case may be, because you already got the group. You already got the group locked, but, you have to plan on all three of those. You have to plan on your center backs essentially starting all three of those matches. So regardless, I think that the U.S. do have three capable center backs that are competent and capable enough of handling those three and also potentially making a deep run into the World Cup. So I'm not going to be too worried about it, but I just look at this as, it's probably one of our most problematic positions, but, you're not going to roll Tristan Blackman into camp. You're not going to be rolling, Jackson Reagan at this stage. Miles Robinson by default, just considering that he has been called in for a majority of Pochettino's camps over the course of the last 6 months. So you would probably assume that he's probably going to be there. Same with Tim Ream. So right there's 5. It's not the best cover, but it'll do. It'll do. But yeah, man, that was the roundup for this upcoming week. It's also worth mentioning that this upcoming weekend, the championship season ends. So we will know exactly who is going to be getting into the playoffs. Obviously, Coventry City, so Haji Wright has already earned his promotion to the Premier League. We are still waiting to see what that battle for second place is, the second automatic promotion, because if Middlesbrough can handle their business, they would take it from Millwall, which means Aidan Morris would also get his promotion to the Premier League as well too. So very interesting last day coming up into the championship. It should be fun. It should be good football. And of course, this upcoming weekend, it is yet again another MLS live stream here on Stateside Footy. It should be fun. So there's plenty going down here on the channel. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button and also hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any upcoming Stateside Footy content. And with either tomorrow or I'm going to say, what day is tomorrow? Wednesday? Yes, Wednesday. Come on. Know how to read the calendar, Steve. Yeah, so it's either going to be tomorrow or Thursday. I will be back with that show about the Vancouver Whitecaps situation in Vancouver. I'm going to see if I can get a journalist on the show to talk about it a little bit more in depth, So definitely make sure you obviously tune in for that one as well too. So I will be back in just a few days. So until then, I hope you guys have a good hump day tomorrow, and obviously that segues into the weekend. So yeah, hope your work week goes well. You guys take care tonight. Bye.
Rusted goalposts under fading skies, tattered flags waving dreams in our